Okay, so now we're on to the third option for the objector, which I think is actually the correct one. And I've made my case in another video explaining why I think it is. But the objector, I think, is saying, verse 18, but someone may well say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without the works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. You believe that God is one, you do well. The demons also believe, and they shudder. And then James comes back in with the rebuke, but are you willing to recognize, you foolish fellow, that faith without works is useless? So James comes back in with the point he's been making this whole time, that faith without works is useless. He said it 3 times in the first section, verses 14 through 17. Faith without works is useless. So what then is the objector trying to say? Well, it's still hard to determine what the objector is trying to say. It's still very unclear, but we can infer. But based on the fact that James has said faith without works is useless, he's introduced an objector, and his rebuke comes back in that, do you want evidence, you idiot, you foolish fellow, that faith without works is useless? We can infer that the objector must be trying to make the case that faith without works is okay, or that there's no real connection between faith and works. Why do you get all hung up about faith and works needing to be coupled together to be useful and profitable? Why do we know that? Because of what James is saying. The example I always like to use is if you walked into a room and had no context for what was but there was a big argument going on, and you heard somebody say, the first thing you heard was, you idiot, do I have to provide proof to you that Michael Jackson is the greatest musician and singer of all time? You wouldn't have to know anything that the person said before that, but you would know that the argument is whether Michael Jackson is the greatest singer of all time, and that the person that is being argued with must be saying that he's not the greatest greatest singer of all times, because that's what you heard the rebuttal being. Do you want evidence that he's the greatest singer of all time? So we know that that is what the objector must be saying, that faith without works is okay. Now, I'm going to explain in the next video, try to kind of parse through what I think that he's trying to say and what his argument is, but we know that the baseline of his argument is that faith without works must be okay. That God must be okay with faith without works, because James is coming in and rebuking him for being dumb and thinking that. Now, and I would also caution you that if this is what the objector is saying, he's also saying the demons also believe and shudder. And we hear that quoted all the time. You maybe have said it even yourself. And it's a way basically of scaring people into, hey, you better have good works, otherwise you're not really truly saved. Just understand by saying, well, hey, even the demons believe. That's a foolish argument, according to James. So we probably should dispense with using that argument to support our position because, hey, even the demons believe. You fool. That's what James would say.